astronauts, this is Brandy and welcome back to Astro-Tarot Research. Hi, if you are new here, I like to combine astrology and tarot to make accurate predictions. So this week's reading is heads up, there's a major love message for you. That is right. This month we are channeling those urgent messages that you need to hear. It is a theme month. Last month was love. This month is urgent messages. So if you would like to be involved in what type of readings will be next, all you have to do is come to the live sessions and I can answer your questions. You can participate in polls, and the polls will be back on the community tab next month in July. So there'll be polls in the live sessions and on the community tab if you would like to join the community. I also offer private readings from time to time. You can check the description bar for that to see if that is accurate. All you have to do is fill out the form and submit, and I will get back to you when it comes to the reading that you have chosen. Now let us get into these pals. Oh, I almost forgot. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Okay, thank you. And share with your friends, share with family, share with whoever. You know, I would love for you guys to be a part of the community. And let's get into the pals. We have pal number 1, pal number 2, pal number 3, pal number 4, and pal number 5. So let's not waste any more time and just sit back, relax, and choose. Hey, pal number 1, heads up. There is a major love message for you. So we have the 8 of Cups for current energy. We have the Wheel of Fortune as to who is coming, or even maybe who's currently in your life. We have the Page of Wands for what needs to change and any advice. Same with the 7 of Pentacles. And we're going to even see what may even give us more insights on what might be coming next. So the Grand Trine. I love that for what's coming next. And since, you know, my mind is already going to it, let's just talk about it. So this Grand Trine is actually a great aspect. It's usually when you have planets at the same degrees that are generally, I believe, 120 degrees apart from each other. But either way, they are in signs like all water signs, all fire signs, all earth signs, things along the lines of that. But it means things are flowing rather easily toward you. So just no matter what's going on right now when it comes to your love life, what's going to happen next is going to be very harmonious. There is likely to be an opportunity. Like if you're single, this would represent meeting someone who's a good match for you, or even possibly already being with someone who is a great partner, someone who you really connect with, someone in which you can potentially build a life with. Grand Trines are definitely those opportunities for success. Long term, short term, even if it's short, it can represent just a very amicable relationship where things are at ease and everything is quite pleasant, okay? Whether that's long term or short term, it does represent goodness coming your way, all right? So I do want to say that. But when we show the 8 of Cups, I guess it's not really a but, it's just that you're moving on to a different place. Whether you are single, in a relationship, it doesn't matter. Generally, if you're in a relationship and I get the 8 of Cups, it's about moving on to the next relationship. Though in some cases, it can represent, you know, moving on to a different stage in your relationship where things have gotten better. But obviously not without doing the work. Obviously, the 8 of Cups is somebody who is seeking deeper insights. It is a card of research. It is a card of putting in efforts towards something that is bigger, better, and beyond, right? With the 8 of Cups. So keep that in mind. Like I said, if you are single If you are currently dating someone, you may not be dating them much for too longer. You may find yourself meeting someone new who you find to be more supportive, more fulfilling, someone who can help you elevate your goals in a way like that. And if you're completely single, nobody around, you know, you're not even talking to anyone, the Eight of Cups does represent possibly coming out of that single phase. It's saying goodbye. You won't be single for too much longer. This urgent message, this heads up, this major love message for you is telling you that you are about to transition out of your singledom. Okay, so I do want all of that to be known. Now, when it comes to the like who's coming in, or maybe even for those of you who you may currently be with, single or in a relationship, like who you might be dating or, you know, in that relationship with, well, we got this sort of Wheel of Fortune energy, and we all know the Wheel of Fortune is very much in line with the energies of the Grand Trine. The Wheel of Fortune is all about change and transformation and things moving in a different direction, ideally for the positive, okay? Because it is a Jupiterian ruled card. It represents destiny. It represents, you know, luck and different cycles that we go through in life. So we know that this person who's coming into your life is bringing a stream of luck. And if you're currently with someone, it's likely you're with someone who is very generous, who is highly supportive, somebody who you feel, I don't know, it's like very right place at the right time energy. You feel lucky to have met this person is what I'm saying here. It's like a connection that feels fated. Because the Wheel of Fortune deals with matters of fate and destiny. So whether you're with someone now or you're going to meet someone, the circumstances all line up. And I think that's perfect because the Grand Trine is also about right place, right timing. It just seems to just come together in the perfect blend. So I love that we have those two energies coming up twice within this reading. Something about this feels fated, feels like it is meant to be. It is part of your destiny. As I said, the person who's coming in brings a lot of abundance and good fortune into your life, or the person who you might be currently talking to or dating or in a relationship with, they are making some more improvements into your life. Whether that be that you decide that this person isn't the best match for you, but you've learned a lot from that relationship. Well, yeah, that can bring a lot of improvements into your life, even if the relationship doesn't work out. Like I said, with this Eight of Cups, it can mean leaving a relationship. And so this person that was in your life may have just been a strong lesson as to what I would not like in my life in the future. And thus you start to live your life in a different way. Excuse me, my voice. Need a little bit of water. But either way, it's showing changes for the improvement. It's showing growth. It's showing development that are for the better. Okay? I just want to say that everything is moving to a place that is for the better. If we talk a little bit more about this sort of Jupiterian nature, Jupiter rules expansion and freedom. It doesn't like restraints or boundaries. And so that this person that you more than likely are with or even is coming into your life is someone who isn't really the type to place restrictions and demands on you. Like I was just hearing and talking to people, and they were saying how, you know, sometimes they'll date a guy and they're just like, oh, I want a woman who wears no makeup or something like that. Or, you know, I prefer that we start being vegan, or like, let's do some things that I like to do. And they don't really take a vested interest in who you are as a person. That is not this person. This person would take a strong interest in who you are. Like I said, it's not about placing boundaries on what you dress, how you wear, okay? It's very much so like, I'm here to support you. Think of like think of like Will Smith. He is very Jupiterian. I believe he has Vishaka placements, and I know a lot of people on the internet kind of like clown their relationships, and because that he is just so supportive with Jada no matter what. I remember even she said that, you know, they haven't even been in a real relationship in a long period. She was all like, I didn't know him. I don't even really know him like that. And I'm surprised he's defending me. And he was just like, I love this woman. Like, she's been through so much. She's one of the strongest women I know. Even despite all of, you know, a little bit of shade that she threw, he was still supportive. And so this person coming into your life is highly, highly supportive in that way. Okay, I'm just giving an example. It may not be to that level, but they are a supportive person and a generous person, and they love very hard. One thing that I've seen about Jupiterian energy is when it comes to love, they lose their mind a little bit. It was very funny. I was watching this movie about this person who goes crazy when they're in love. And as I was watching it, I was just like, this person has to be Jupiterian. Like, the actor has to have Jupiterian placements. And they did, because they started making up all these scenarios. They were traveling the country, trying to get to this person. Like, very much over the top when it comes to the love, okay? Definitely the type of person who wants to up-level your life. And when they're in love, they are deeply, deeply in love. And like I said, often this is about bringing more success, more fortune, and up-leveling your life in a way. You know, I think about when Kanye West, who I believe is a Hoover Bajapata native, Jupiterian, first got with Kim Kardashian, and one of the first things he did was up level and change her whole wardrobe and bought her a whole new wardrobe, right? That's a very Jupiterian energy, blessings and things along the lines of that. Now, for his other behaviors, I can't speak for, but I'm just trying to show you one of the positive things that this can bring into your life. All right? This person will change your life. Whether you're dealing with them now, or whether they're coming in, or whether you are leaving that relationship and moving on to something else, this person has had an impact on how you view things, and it's changing your life for a better place. Now, any sort of advice or anything that might need to change, and when it comes to your love life, we have the Page of Wands and the Seven of Pentacles. Page of Wands is someone who always takes a risk and always takes a chance. So if you have a certain type that you go for or have gone for in the past, don't be afraid to take a risk and put yourself out there a little bit more, or go in a new direction with somebody you may not typically be interested in. And I'm not saying you have to continue to date someone who is completely off-putting towards you, but let's say you go on a date with someone and you kind of feel neutral, you feel okay, they're all right to you. Maybe go on that second date and just see where things go, right? And I'm talking about like you had an okay time, not like things were terrible. You had an okay time with the person. You're like, all right, you know what? I normally cut guys off if I don't feel an instant connection. Maybe this once I'll go on a second date, or same with, you know, women, whoever you date. This would be taking a risk and taking a chance and things along the lines of that, especially the Seven of Pentacles. It's like, hey, get a little bit more information and then make a decision. The Seven of Pentacles is not a card that drives off of quick impulse decisions, and they need to gather as much information as possible. Something solid that would help them understand how to make improvements and what they need to bring about more success and happiness in the future. And for that, it's like I invest some more time, invest a little bit more energy, and see where it takes you. Okay, that is what the cards are saying. Also, maybe this is some wild advice, but the Page of Pentacles is a very passionate person. And so if you have found yourself dating people not based on looks, well, the Page of Pentacles is the Page of Wands is a little bit shallow, okay? They are someone who can, you know, go after the person who looks pretty, looks handsome, looks gorgeous to them. So the cards want you to be a little shallow. I'm sorry, I said it, be a little shallow. I'm not saying being the most picky and things along the lines of that, but like, if you don't feel any sort of attraction at all, you know, don't date them, all right? Okay, just don't date them at all. But if you find them a little bit, you know, good looking and, you know, you had an okay date, go on that second date, right? Like, that's kind of what the cards are saying. The advice is pretty simple here. You know, like, if you feel a little chemistry, but you're still like, I don't know, go on that second date. You know, seriously consider them, seriously spend some time before you make a decision and decide that this person is not worthwhile. Page of Wands definitely involves going with that lower chakra, okay? I do want to say that, and considering that this is the advice, then there's that. Now, for those of you in a relationship, this is going to ask you to bring a little bit more spontaneity regularly within your life. You know, switch things up a little bit. The Page of Wands hates doing the same thing over and over again for just years on end, months on end. It's like, just every now and then, try something spontaneous. Just bring that aspect into your relationship. The Seven of Pentacles does want stability there, but with the Page of Wands combined with it, it's like, okay, every now and then, maybe I decide that, you know, we walk by a karaoke bar and we just start to join in and start singing instead of having everything be so restrictive and planning. The Seven of Pentacles is interesting because it's about growing the harvest. And one example I can give is, like, let's say you had investments. You're in the stock market, you have investments. You have the ones that bring about solid growth and that are great. And in terms of relationship, let's say we always do bingo night together. We always have a little board game night. We always hang out with our friends on Tuesday. But in terms of, like, the stock market with the Page of Wands there, it would say, okay, every now and then, take a risk and invest in something a little bit spontaneous or risky, right? Like say, I'm going to invest a little bit in Bitcoin. Not too much, but every now and then I'm going to do a little spontaneous investment, and I'm going to put $100 in Bitcoin. It's the same thing with your relationship. You have your regular activities that you like to do together, but every now and then, take a risk and take a chance and say, you know what, babe, let's go skydiving. Like, let's just try it. Just throw something in there every now and then. It's saying this is great for you. And so all of the overall advice represents taking a little bit of risk, taking a little bit of chance, but don't go too crazy with it, right? We got that Seven of Pentacles there. It still wants you to think things through. It still wants you to take your time. Still wants you to accurately assess the people that you are investing your time, energy, efforts, money, whatever into. And don't go like crazy balls to the walls with everything. But at the same time, don't be so stagnant and unwilling to change as well. All right. Seven of Pentacles is all about contemplating their next move. So they're getting ready to make a move. They're getting ready to make a change. So don't be afraid of change. Embrace it. And as I said, this message is actually pretty positive, to be completely honest. I mean, the heads up is that you're having more beautiful things coming your way in terms of love. And that applies to no matter what your love situation is. There's more happiness, there's more blessings, there's more fulfillment, and things are coming with ease. And it's possibly more than likely having to do with a little bit of you, but also a little bit of timing. Things are coming together at the right time. That is what this Grand Trine is all about. The universe is aligning into your favor. There are some shifts being made. And that's not surprising because at least at the time that I'm filming this, Jupiter will be going into Cancer soon in Western astrology, where it is exalted. So more blessings for people, more ease when it comes to the romantic areas of your life. So I want you to know that, pile number one. And that is what I have for you. Hopefully this resonates. If not, feel free to choose a new pal or maybe a new reader. Either way, I'm very happy you stopped by, and I will see you next time. Au revoir. Hey pal, number two, heads up, there is a major love message for you. This is your current energy, who you are currently dealing with or who is coming in. We also have some advice, the Queen of Cups and the Ten of Swords, and just general what is happening next. South Node, life's debts. All right, so Here's some urgent love messages for you guys. We have the Three of Wands representing where you currently are. So Three of Wands is a very interesting card because it does represent branching out, and there's also an element of waiting for some ships to come in. Sometimes it's waiting for inspiration, sometimes it's waiting for creativity, sometimes it's waiting for new options. So for me, it shows that you have maybe put some efforts to put yourself out there if you're single, and you're looking ahead towards future possibilities. Who might you be dating next? You know, you're looking at the bigger picture when it comes to your love life, and possibly what you might get in return for your efforts, you know, meaning, will you actually make this connection that you have been longing for? And I should say this Ace of Cups should be a bit reversed here because it's following the Wands. But to me, it represents vision. It represents long-term plans. So you're thinking of all the possibilities of where the future may take you in terms of your love life. And that's both for singles and for those of you in a relationship. It's actually interesting here because the Three of Wands can also represent even contemplating the future of a relationship and wondering where it might be going, wondering what this time together means, you know, wondering if this is the person that is, you know, maybe your forever person. You know, what does your future look like together? You know, it's essentially a period of pause and reflection, but at the same time, I don't know, this card is like, hurry up and wait. You know what I mean? Maybe you're even waiting for, like if you're in a long-term relationship, this can represent, you know, waiting for a proposal, waiting for that next step, waiting for them to make a move. Even if you're just kind of like casually dating someone, this can also be waiting for someone to make a move, waiting for someone to take action. There's a sense of excitement and I guess allure when it comes to the Three of Wands, where you're wondering what is going to be happening next. Where is this going? What happens after, you know, we have gone on a few dates, or what happens now that we are, you know, girlfriend and girlfriend, boyfriend and boyfriend, boyfriend and girlfriend, whatever, or boyfriend and boyfriend. We want to know, where is this headed? That is the moment of the Three of Wands. But whatever it is, you're open to the possibilities and hoping that it moves in a positive direction, that it develops into something more, something that you can bring into fruition. And then for some of you, I do get the Three of Wands to represent a change, and when it comes to trying new things, like I've gotten this card quite a few times for experimentation, creatively, or even just in general, just experimenting. And so this can represent just trying different things within your relationship in various different areas. You know, do we like doing this together? We've never tried going, I don't know, skydiving together. Let's try that. Or even experimenting, you know, in other areas, right? I'm not going to go into it. YouTube, I don't want it to censor me. Hopefully, you get my drift. But that is generally the case, okay? You know what's in your heart, and you're wanting to know what's in the other person's heart. Or if you're single, like I said, you're wanting to know, where is the future going for my love life? Because I feel like I have put myself out there, made some changes. I've gone out and made the moves, talked to people, maybe even got some numbers and things along the lines of that. We're texting, da-da-da-da-da. Where are things headed? And if you're completely single, not talking to someone, this is just wondering about your future. So anyway, what we have is who you're dealing with, or who's coming in next. And we have this Ace of Cups energy reversed. So the Ace of Cups energy reversed is an energy of somebody who can be quite, what's the word for it? I don't want to say emotional because that sounds like it's a bad thing. I feel like people use that word wrong, but they can sort of just like really pour out their feelings, okay? This is someone who maybe needs to take a moment for some self-care. And then for some people, sometimes I get the Ace of Cups to represent maybe somebody's a little bit avoidant, where they may not be fully in touch with their emotions, or there's some emotional blockages, there may be some repressed emotions, or not fully understanding or knowing how to express themselves in a manner that is healthy. Sometimes it can even lead to somebody who's just a little bit emotionally exhausted, or, you know, even spiritually disconnected. I don't want to say a bunch of terrible things, but I generally see the Ace of Cups reversed as someone who really needs to take a moment to breathe, okay, and really let out their feelings. Maybe they don't feel like they've had a safe space for their feelings, or they've never even really had the opportunity to be attuned in their feelings. Some people don't have parents or guardians who are attuned to them emotionally. They may take care of them physically, but emotionally they may not take care of them. And thus, the child has to learn coping mechanisms or ways in which to live their life where they can have some sort of self-esteem or understanding of self. And this can create those sort of like avoidant, fearful avoidant, insecure attachment style personalities. And so you may even be dealing with someone who may have a more insecure attachment style, or you might be dealing with someone next who has an insecure attachment style. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Lots of people have insecure attachment styles. It doesn't make them a bad person, but they may need to do some inner work, or they need to have a little bit more awareness about their emotional state. And it is possible with this Ace of Cups reverse, this represents a reflection on that they know that they might need to change. There might be that awareness there of like, hey, I think, you know, the way I react to things, the way I go about in the world might be a little bit self-sabotaging, and I think I need to make some transformations and fixes. And that can be the Ace of Cups too, because we all know reversals can also be about internal reflections. So keep that in mind. It's an opportunity that they might even be taking now, or if you're single at the time that you meet them, to reflect on more on their inner world, to invest time as to why they might not really fully understand themselves, and taking the time to heal. So you might be meeting them in that phase, or you might even currently be dealing with someone like that, or with someone like that. You know, it happens, right? I want to say that. I do also want to say sometimes this can represent just maybe an outpouring of emotions. Like I said, with some insecure attachment styles, there's an outpouring of like saying everything in order to get their emotional needs met. But whatever the case may be, the Ace of Cups reverse is generally not the most emotionally balanced card, so there does need to be some work there. But that doesn't mean this person has bad intentions, okay? So this person could just be like a little bit more insecure and they need some more reassurance. So I want to throw that out there. Now, when it comes to any advice, we have the Queen of Cups and the Ten of Swords. So the Queen of Cups, generally, as advice, is going to be to take care of yourself, you know, but also make sure you have some empathy for others. I will say, don't be empathetic to the point you are emotionally sacrificing yourself and you feel drained and you feel unhappy. Don't do anything of that. What this is talking about here is having an understanding of your emotional needs and making sure that they are met. But don't play this sort of like sacrificial lamb who is willing to go the distance to save your partner or your love interest from their dark and tormented world. Like, please. No, that's up to them. It's all about, you know, being nurturing, but at the same time, having those boundaries. We also have the Ten of Swords here, which can be about letting go of those disappointments, letting go of any emotional the betrayals, or any hardships that you had to deal with emotionally, acknowledging those, you know, feelings of hurt, disappointment, regret, and taking the time to truly let go, okay? Because with the Ten of Swords and the Queen of Cups, it definitely represents being emotionally drained. And you may have feel like you have gone through a lot when it comes to love, relationships, connections. And it's okay to take that moment to have that mental burnout, to have a time where you just need to take a break and nurture yourself. Like I said, this is all about having those strong emotional boundaries, having support, allowing yourself to grieve any losses, and being able to come out fresh and anew. And I don't even know if I like the word healing, because I kind of feel like we're always trying to be attuned with ourselves, or hopefully we are. So it's really just about, you know, holding space for yourself to process emotions, process painful emotions. Okay, so this is the card's advice. Process those painful emotions, connect to your own emotional needs, and at the same time, don't let anyone drain you. And don't let any sort of like negative criticism that you may have experienced from others, you know, shake your foundation or shake you to your core, because you're a person who has a lot to give. You have a lot of emotional maturity. You have a lot of love. So don't let any sort of negative thinking, criticism from others, criticism from yourself get to you. Don't talk badly about yourself and anybody else who's got some issues or whatever. Just, you know, wish them the best and keep it moving. Okay, like the Queen of Cups does. She says, okay, that person is going through something, let me keep it pushing, right? That's very much it. Keep those boundaries in place emotionally. You know, you can't always open up and be vulnerable with everyone. Unfortunately, some people might use that against you. And with the Ten of Swords here, it sounds like they already kind of have. And, you know, you've learned from those lessons. And now it's time to say goodbye. Just know that this Ten of Swords represents endings. And so more than likely, you're not likely to go through the same sort of tragedies that you would have gone through before in the past. You know, it's highly unlikely. And it's interesting that what we have coming next is South Node, Life's Debts. South Node is pretty intense, okay? South Node is about letting go of the past, similar to this Ten of Swords. So we already know you're moving away from all of this hurt, all of the hardship, or all of the moments that were so strenuous to you, and you're coming out anew. One thing that I've seen about, you know, general K2 energy, which is the South Node, is that K2 can sort of bring you through the fire and honestly purify you and create a diamond. It really is a placement that will throw a curveball and completely emotionally transform you. You're coming out fresher. You're coming out smarter. You're coming out stronger, with more love and respect for yourself, and more empathetic, more kind, more caring, not only just for others, but for yourself as well. This is a period that is coming up next. K2 is all about letting go of all of those material standards, which means I don't care what other people think of me. I don't care about material things. Not that K2, you know, doesn't always care about material things, but generally honestly, most K2 people like knowledge, and they like being ascend to things, and they like to focus on the spiritual world and whatever. They would be, most K2 people would be happy just doing that all day and then have somebody else pay the bills. That's why you'll see a lot of K2 people married to a lot of people with money. All right. Just look at who is Jeff Bezos' girlfriend, Lauren Sanchez, or even Melania Trump. These are K2 ruled women. You'll find a lot of K2 ruled women near people with a lot of money because they just rather focus on things that are not of this world or something else, completely not invested in that. And so this is all about investing more so in yourself, your spiritual fulfillment, and what brings you inner peace in this life. That is the next phase when it comes to your love life. I'm not saying that love can't come in, but K2's overall message and what I've seen it align to isn't always like love. Like I don't see a lot of K2 stories main focus being love in terms of romantic, but more so self-love. I've seen more so having to deal with going through developments when it comes to love and respect for yourself and having integrity, as well as caring for others. That is what I've mainly seen. So you have a lot of beautiful things coming for you in terms of that. And if we're going to talk about romantic love, K2 rules looking for the beauty within. You know, it's all about who is this person on the inside. And so if we're talking about what's coming next in love, is that you're looking more at people's character and how they treat you. And then you're making your decisions based on that. So there's more of that to come. And that is what I have for you, pal number 2. Let me know if this resonates. If not, feel free to choose a new pal or a new reader. Either way, I'm very happy you stopped by. Don't forget, I go live on the weekends, time posted on the community tab by Eastern Standard Time Tuesday night. I'm also doing some pop-ups. So far, more than likely it's going to be Monday, Thursday. I'm filming this a bit ahead, so we'll see how things play out, but check out for that during the week. Also, if you want a private reading with me, links are in the description bar below, and I'll see you next time. Au revoir. Hey, pal number 3, heads up, there is a major love message for you. Let's see what urgent messages await. We have the Death card for, current energy. We have the Six of Pentacles for who's coming next and who you may be dealing with. We have the Six of Pentacles as advice. Interesting. And the High Priestess. And we have Venus Love for what's coming next. All right. So the Six of Pentacles twice. That to me shows a message of balance, because that's what sixes are all about. Balance and responsibility, actually. When we talk about the 6 numerology wise, there is harmony, compassion, love. And so when I see that these cards are placed as advice and who's coming next, or who you might be currently dealing with, or advice as well, to me it sounds like you are either about to meet someone who you feel is compassionate in nature, who has a very easygoing personality, very agreeable. And the advice would be obviously to meet them halfway. If they're someone who is nurturing, loving, has a balanced perspective, balanced in their actions as well, because that's what the Six of Pentacles is all about, then it would like for you to be the same. The Six of Pentacles is very caring and empathetic. They're giving towards others. They have an abundance of resources, and they would like to give some of those resources to those in need. So I guess in terms of a relationship, yeah, it could literally mean like physical resources, like spending money, but it can also represent giving your time, your energy, and your efforts. So for this pile, number 3, you are either with someone who is that harmonious person that we're talking about here, who has that deep care, who is responsible, who gives pretty strong advice, because I give the 6 of Pentacles to represent someone who gives some very practical, good advice. Or you're either about to meet this person, and the cards would like you to obviously be the same way towards this person. Be generous with your time, your energy. You know, if they need your perspective on something, do your best to give a balanced sort of perspective, and have a sense of duty and responsibility towards that relationship. Now, that can be different for everyone, but for example, this can mean like, you know, if they're calling you, call them back. You know, you want something balanced. I was just talking about that with a friend. Like, it goes both ways. Like, if somebody is texting, text them back, right? Initiate hanging out, initiate doing things. It's all about having that equal balance. Like, you both want to spend time with each other. I've spoken to a few guys who say they always feel like they're pursuing, and it's rare to feel like the woman wants to like go and meet with them and say, hey, let's meet, which is kind of part of our culture, at least in the US. But this card would indicate being more balanced, like taking a little bit more initiative, but at the same time allowing them to take initiative as well. Listening to their problems as well as having them listen to your problems. Things are all about not being one way, meeting someone in the middle and giving and receiving. So that's coming in for you, pile number 3. And that may be even someone who you are currently, you know, like I said, dealing with. And then I already gave that advice. Now, the Death card for where you're currently at is very, very interesting, because the Death card is definitely a transition period. So you're in a period in your life where you're making some changes. You are getting away from any sort of, what's the word? Maybe bad habits, maybe patterns that you have found yourself in the past. Ideally, patterns that weren't exactly beneficial for you. And the Death card is like, I'm laying this to rest. I am no longer being in this place where I am being stuck in a cycle that is not beneficial towards me. That is what the Death card is all about. It's about the ending of a cycle and the starting of a new one. You're going to a place where it feels as though you have more freedom, or you yourself are more free. The Death card wants us to awaken from a situation that is not beneficial towards us and transition or transform into another layer of ourselves, a deeper layer. It's connected to Scorpio in the 8th house. And that is the house that deals with intimacy. It also deals with partnerships. It's almost seen like a second marriage house, or you can see the marriage life, because I've seen quite a few times people might meet someone when they have these transitions or transits, I should say, to the 8th house, because it represents that sense of deep intimacy. So there is a sense of shedding your skin when it comes to the person who you once were. This is a deep transformation of self, and you are stepping into a new stage in your life. One where you feel as though you know more about yourself. There's a deeper understanding of who you are and what you desire within a relationship. It's all about letting go of the past and changing patterns, changing who you are, and it's like you're no longer the person you once were. It's as if you were going from a caterpillar into a butterfly, or like a snake shedding their skin. But it's all about saying, No more of these bad habits. I've already learned that lesson, so there's no need to repeat it. And you're moving forward to a better place. I generally get the Death card to move forward to a better place, okay? At least from what I've seen, I rarely see the Death card moving to a place that is worse, okay? That would be pretty unusual. So we know that there are some blessings because you are widening your horizons. You're becoming a more empathetic person because we got this Six of Pentacles twice. You have a deeper sense of compassion. And like I said, you have a more full understanding of who you are and what you need in this life and the type of relationship dynamic that you may even be looking for. The Death card is definitely a card of reflection, and it asks us to be more self-aware of our patterns, our way of thinking, and how our own actions influence the world around us or our own personal world on our journey. So that is the place that you're in. Pretty powerful, pretty transformative place. And so when I look at this spread, when it comes to what you have coming in, or who the person is that you might even be, flirting with, dating, in a relationship with, to me it shows that this change that you're making, whether it is a change in the type of people you want to date or a personal change or both, is going to lead you to have more harmonious and more balanced relationships. And the person that's coming in is going to be a very giving person. And like I said, the Death card connects to Scorpio, the 8th house, and that is the house of shared assets. So it's really the perfect card to get with the Six of Pentacles, because that card is all about sharing, sharing everything that I mentioned before, as well as, sharing feelings. Sometimes it can be hard to open up, but with the Six of Pentacles here, it looks like you're going to be in a relationship where you can open up, where it feels like a safe space. I often get the Pentacles to represent a sense of safety and security. And so this next relationship has that, or the next person you're meeting has those qualities to allow you to have that safe space to open up. And you as well, it looks like you're going in that avenue, in that path to allow that person to have that safe space. There's a reason that we got Venus love next. We all know Venus is the planet connected to love. And so what we know is next for you is true and beautiful love. The cards are very direct in their messaging for this pile here. They know that love is coming your way, something bountiful and something full, something that you feel the need to protect, a connection that feels maybe for some of you like a soulmate, because I do know Venus has this theme of soulmates, especially if we have some sort of Mars ruled energy into it. And in traditional astrology, Mars rules Scorpio. So that is sort of like this Mars rule combination in a way. And there is a deep attraction as well, spiritually, as well as physically. And the High Priestess's advice is always to trust your inner light, trust your intuition, trust the lessons that you have learned before. It also speaks to a sense of self-awareness, knowing who you are, taking accountability for your own actions, as well as a sense of understanding of those around you. The High Priestess is someone who watches people's behavior. Sometimes people say things, but then they act a completely different way. And so the High Priestess takes this perspective of, you know what, in order to make sure I'm with the right person, I'm going to observe them. I'm going to pay attention and make sure I truly understand what's in their heart. So don't be afraid to trust your intuition and lean into that. Don't be afraid to, be highly reflective and take in the information that is being presented to you. And the High Priestess is all about taking the time to understand your deeper emotions and understanding why you feel or think a certain way. And at the same time, the High Priestess has a deep connection to the divine, which goes back to what I was saying earlier about trusting your instincts when it comes to the person that you are looking to make a connection with, because it's going to lead you to the right path towards love, bountifulness, and like I said, maybe even a sense of actual material wealth. Because the person you're coming in, if we're getting the Six of Pentacles twice and we're getting the card Venus, Venus does deal with actual physical resources. And so if you're looking for someone who has more stability, who has that support, who is practical minded, then these are the cards that are letting you know that that is more than likely going to happen. And for me, when I see Venusian people, generally there is a sense of practicality. Not all of them, but if I look at an overall general census, most Venusian people make sure that they have their money right. Most, not all, but most. But obviously the cards are indicating that you're likely to be attracting more so a healthy Venusian individual. And it does represent a sense of planning for the future. Like I met a Venusian person once in my 20s, and they were also in their 20s, and they were already planning for, retirement. They wanted to retire early. They already had that sense of practical mindedness that not many people have in their early 20s, okay? Not all people think that way. I know I wasn't. And I thought that was like, wow, okay, this person is thinking far ahead. And so that's what I mean by focusing on a sense of security. It reminds me of that Marilyn Monroe quote, I think in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, when she says, don't you want to be happy? How can you be happy in a relationship if there is no stability, financial resources, right? And it's kind of true, right? If you're worrying about money all the time, how can you be in love? And so to me, it looks like you're taking a practical approach as well as a spiritual approach when it comes to your relationships. And that is the advice here. Think practically, and as well as look for that deeper connection as well. Follow your heart. And so that is what I have for you, pal number 3. You're obviously going to have a lot of happiness and joy coming in. Venus does connect to happiness and joy and fulfillment, and a beautiful connection for you. If you're already in a relationship, it looks like this relationship is moving in a great direction, and I love to see it. So that is all I have for you. Don't forget to pay attention. Is that what I was trying to say? No, I'm thinking say don't forget to come by. I have a new reading every Thursday. If you want to get a private reading from me, that link is in the description bar below. All you have to do is fill out the form, and I will get started on your reading and send you all of the information you need, as well as I go live as well. I go live every week. I'm thinking of doing some pop-ups, so you might even catch me during the week, but the time will be posted for the weekend lives by Tuesday night Eastern Standard Time on the community tab. And I hope to see you next time. If this pal doesn't resonate, feel free to choose a new pal. Maybe I'm about to read it for you, but either way, I'm very happy you stopped by. Au revoir. Hey pal, number 4, heads up, there is a major love message for you. We have the Knight of Cups representing current energy, the Six of Cups as for, who's coming with or who you're currently with, any advice, the Devil, and the Eight of Swords, and we have what will be happening next with the fire element. So Knight of Cups kind of shows me emotionally you may be a little bit up and down. Knight of Cups can be a very intense card when it comes to the emotions. The Knight of Cups is one that can be a little reactive, struggles with emotional regulation, meaning like they can get very upset easily or take things wrong, or one thing goes wrong and it can ruin their day, right? The Knight of Cups is learning and growing when it comes to handling their emotions. You ever had a bad day and then struggle to sit with your emotions. I think we've all been there where we've let our feelings get the best of us. Maybe we haven't responded in the best way. That happens, especially a lot with the Knight of Cups. So right now, you may not be in the best place, but you're not in the worst place, okay? The Knight of Cups is also someone who still wants to go ahead. They want transformation. They want change. And even though it's a bumpy road for them, they're still willing to put in that work for growth and development and for true connection, peace, happiness, whether it's for themselves or within a relationship. And so when it comes to the area of love, though you may have been hurt, you're still not in this place where you're completely jaded and you've given up on love. Or at least I hope that's not the case. You clicked on this video, so there still may be some hope left. And so you may even currently be dealing with someone who, they can kind of stick to the same old patterns. Maybe you want them to change. We do have the Six of Cups here. And so for those of you who are dating or you're in a relationship, it may feel a bit like same old, same old. And the only reason I say this in a more disappointed tone is because we got this Knight of Cups and not the Queen of Cups, the King of Cups, which are a lot more emotionally satisfied and happy and stable. It feels as though you may even feel as though there are patterns that are constantly resurfacing within the people that you date or the person you're in a relationship, patterns that you're not completely satisfied with. And though you may have great moments, happy moments, beautiful moments, moments where you laugh together and enjoy each other's company, there's just these other moments that can be quite upsetting or not exactly how you want it to go. A little bit of like bursting your bubble here. I will say though, for those of you who are single, like really, really single, not even talking to anyone, this is sort of representing someone who's coming. It could be, someone from your past, as we say with the Six of Cups. It does represent and connect to the past and nostalgia. And then similar to, as I said before, someone coming in could have similar attributes to people you've dated before. And the third option for some of you, percentage of you, is that you're meeting someone who is very inexperienced. The Six of Cups connects to children. It connects to naivete. It connects to just not knowing too much about the world, and generosity as well. And giving, like children. I'm not going to say children are naturally giving, but generally when you're a child, you're a little bit more open and welcoming to lots of different peoples and animals, different environments. Like kids are more just open and rather than closed off and guarded more so than adults, because we know what can happen in the world, right? And so there is this openness, naivete about the person that you may be dating next, someone who is very kind, very sweet, and almost childlike in a way. Parts of their personality, at least. They can be quite, what's the word? Sheltered? You may be dealing with someone who can be a little bit sheltered or has been a little bit sheltered within their life. So that is a possibility for those of you when it comes to the energy that is coming forth. What I love about also with this coming next, we have the fire element, because my mind is going to this card. And the fire element is obviously something that represents passion. Even on the card, it says desire here. So you can see the word. The fire element is all about what you want. What do you want to do within this world? What is driving you? What are your passions? Why do you wake up in the morning? What keeps you going? What fuels you? What is the thing that inspires you? Fire elements are all about you, yourself, and I, okay? Whenever you get these fire sign transits, which would be the first house, the fifth house, the ninth house, it's all about pushing yourself forward to do the things that you want to do. That's why we have the first house being of self, Aries, right? It's all about who am I in this world? Like, like what makes me different, what are my characteristics, what makes me unique, what is special about me. So when we have this coming up next, we have someone who can, one, help you learn more about yourself, who you are and what you desire in this world. Or if we're being quite literal, you know, maybe it's hot and steamy, you know, in certain areas of your life. The certain, maybe adult time is quite passionate. I'm trying to use words that won't get me, you know, blocked on YouTube, right? You know, they censor things. But yeah, you could have a very passionate and steamy love affair coming in your way. And for those of you in a relationship, you know, you could still have a passionate and steamy love affair, but hopefully it's within the relationship you currently have. You guys may be picking up steam, picking up traction, and sort of reigniting any sort of passion that you have for each other, okay? Which would make sense if we have this Six of Cups. Maybe you guys have kind of fizzled out a little bit, and what's coming in next, or who's coming in next, or the energy is coming in next, is like getting back to that passion you had when you first met. And like I said, for those of you who are single, it's meeting people you have a strong chemistry with. Someone you have a strong attraction to, a strong desire to be with. You may even have friends and family saying, this person is not the one, but it doesn't matter because it's all about you and your desires and what you want. And if you want to be with this person, you're going to fight your way to be with this person. What I love about this is it does represent fun, because one of those fire elements is Leo, connected to the 5th house of fun, enjoyment, relaxation, entertainment. And so it does represent having some great activities that you enjoy, that you feel elated in, that you feel like you've been swept up in this whirlwind of romance. And it also has, you know, that 9th house Sagittarius, like I said, feeling inspired, feeling inspirational, feeling lucky, feeling like you have the world at your feet. There's so much more to explore and discover with this person. And in quite literal, if we're just thinking of overall advice when it comes to love and things on the lines of that, I just feel like a lot of self-love is coming in as well. I do got to give a little bit of that spiritual message. Self-love, understanding of self, following your passions, following your dreams, following what it is that you desire, and cutting out anything that isn't aligned with what brings you pleasure and happiness in life. This is what this fire element desire is about. In terms of advice, we have the Devil and the 8 of Swords. So when we have the Devil, we're all talking about those addictions. We're talking about bad habits. We're talking about things that are holding you back, things that are blocking you, things that you need to unchain and unbind yourself from, which is very interesting because we have that 8 of Swords, all about the card of unchaining and unbinding yourself as well. Generally, the 8 of Swords is dealing with limiting thoughts. Also very pretty much like restrictions on your speech. I often get the 8 of Swords to say, I'm holding back from showing people who I am. I'm holding back from saying what I want to say because there may be judgment, or they may not have a positive response, or I may not get exactly what I want out of this scenario. So there's a lot of fear holding you back. And when we're talking about fire element and we're talking about things that are fearful, and we also get this Knight of Cups, I have a few interpretations. Number one, you're not showing maybe the people that you're dating or in a relationship with all the sides of you. You know, maybe you're holding back on the sides that are scary, that make you feel a little bit vulnerable, that have you show a part of yourself that you don't often show to the world. Maybe you're afraid of what they might think of you. Maybe you're afraid that they may judge your thoughts or your previous actions, or even actions from your past, because we do have this 6 of Cups here as well. But the fire element is about being true to yourself. So the advice here is open up, be true to who you are. Don't hold back. Don't try to edit yourself for romantic partners or potential dates and things along the lines of that. Be your true self. The right person will, you know, be the right person regardless. They'll love you even if the sun's not shining. They will like you no matter what. Reminds me of that quote from Juno, one of my favorite movies. The right person will think the sun shines out of your butt, the dad says to Juno at some point, right? Because that's exactly what it's like. They just feel like you're the most amazing person ever. Have you ever, had a crush on someone and it's hard to like see their flaws? Well, yeah, people feel the same way about you. Okay. It's just like, open up and show who you truly are. Let go of these fears. Let go of these boundaries. Don't have these limiting thoughts of, I have to present myself in this way or they won't like me, or I have to not tell them this thing until so many dates in because then they'll, reject me. Who cares? Like, the right person will not have an issue with who you are. And I'm not saying, be this gross, terrifying monster. Obviously, be the best version of yourself, but be true to yourself, be honest with yourself, and don't feel trapped and confined or like you can't fully express yourself. Show who you are, show your weird quirks, your weird hobbies. For example, I didn't always tell everyone I was interested in, that I like tarot and astrology, but as I grow older, I'm like, this is a huge part of my life. I want to share that with someone. And if they think it's weird, who cares? They're not the right one for me. So be open and transparent about who you are. And don't let fear or anything hold you back from making those solid connections. Okay? That is the main advice that I have for you, pile number 4. And I'm going to leave it there and let me know if this resonates. If not, feel free to choose a new pile, or maybe I'm not the reader for you. Either way, I'm happy you stopped by. Remember, I go live on the weekends as Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And then I am working on doing some pop-ups. So you may see me at random times as well. I'm experimenting with the right times right now. And as I mentioned, polls will be back in July. So that's something positive to look forward to. I get to poll you astronauts again. I don't know for how long, because like I have some ideas and I know you astronauts have given me some ideas. But I'm going to see. And private readings, you can find the link below for that if you'd like to get a private reading from me. And I will see you next time. Au revoir. Heads up, pal. Number 5, there's a major love message for you. So we have the 6 of Pentacles as your current energy, the Fool as who you are dealing with or who is coming up next in your life. We have the Emperor as advice, and we have the Tower as advice. Then we also have just general what's coming up next, the first house, the body. So when I look at this card and we see where you currently are, we have the 7 of Pentacles. And the 7 of Pentacles is all about making evaluations and considerations. It's a card of taking the time to pause after you have either learned quite a few lessons, or after maybe you have an interest in someone and you're taking time to consider whether this can grow long term, or how you can duplicate further success. So similar to saying, how can I build upon this relationship if you're currently in a relationship? And if you're single, and let's say you're not talking to anyone or anything, well, this would be considering your next step. As I mentioned before, you've learned quite a few lessons along the way. And now you're trying to decide the best path forward for you as you continue your journey on love or with love. So you're quite in a place of pause and contemplation. And I understand that this is a very important time for you because you want to make sure that you are growing in an area that is going to be positive. You obviously are trying to duplicate something positive, to build something positive. The 7 of Pentacles wants to continue to grow. They had the harvest blossom in front of them. They have on this card plenty of pies and plenty to share if they would like to. And they would like to maybe have a pie business like this card here shows. And in that case, for some of you, it could be like, hey, maybe I'm looking to date for marriage. Or maybe with a partner and you're like, maybe I want to build a family, depending on the level you are, within your relationship. Now, when we have the Fool here as to who you might be dealing with or who may be coming next, well, the Fool card is completely innocent, very naive, but not necessarily undestructive. When you have the Fool, you have someone who may not have the highest level of self-awareness. The Fool really doesn't know anything. They just kind of wandering in the wilderness in the dark. They have their little bag with them of, goodies or supplies or whatever it is that they're carrying. And they're just treading along the path, not knowing what to expect. So you may be currently with someone or even dating someone who is kind of like one of those people who goes with the flow. They're probably saying something along the lines of, well, let's just see where this goes, right? It's not really a card of commitment, and it's not a card of, let's build a life, let's start a family. It can be if it's coupled with something else, but the Fool by itself, just there to explore. And so I'm going to say this, and I mean, everything I say, I hope you guys know, I say things with positive intentions, right? So they may not be quite aware of what they want or even who they are. The Fool hasn't had enough experiences to completely define themselves within the world. And so you may be with a person who is trying to figure things out. They're trying to understand what they want in life. They're trying to understand what they need in a relationship. They might even be trying to understand the best ways to communicate those needs. There's just a lot of inexperience here. And because of their inexperience, I'll say that the Fool can be known as being someone who is unpredictable. It reminds me of one of my favorite artists is Marina and the Diamonds. And she was saying when she created her first album, she didn't really know how to play the piano. She just kind of knew the chords. And so when she got into the studio and people were listening to her song, I think it might have been Hermit the Frog or one of those songs, and they were saying, this song is so unusual and it's so different because she had done like 8 different chords. It was just like all over the place. And it was because she had that sense of inexperience. She didn't know that there's generally a format to write a pop song that most people sort of follow, that she didn't know all of the chords that properly went together. She just did what came natural to her, which gave her a very unique sound. So sometimes the Fool can be good. If you're looking for someone who doesn't really have a traditional mindset, who isn't stuck on this is your role, this is my role, this is how you're supposed to act as a woman, this is how I'm supposed to act as a man, this is how you're supposed to act as the feminine, this is how I'm supposed to act as a masculine. If you're looking for someone who doesn't really have a care in the world for defined or set roles, well, you've got it. That's probably someone who's coming in next for you. Or like I said, there's somebody who's very inexperienced when it comes to love and relationships. There is not a lot of information that they have to go on. And that happens despite whatever stage you are in life. You have that movie, right? 40-Year-Old Virgin. And they didn't have a lot of romantic or even experiences with intimacy. So this person is more than likely like that. Or in a way, like I was talking about before, they can be a bit unconventional and atypical. They're not the usual person that you date or you find yourself attracted to or things along the lines of that. I will say, sometimes or pretty much all the time, the Fool is inconsistent. One day, they're climbing the mountains. The next day, they are playing chess. It's very random, unpredictable energy. And so you're with someone who can be very exciting, but at the same time, they don't really provide a sense of stability. Now, it depends on what you're looking for, whether that's good or bad. Now, when we're going into advice, we have the Emperor and the Tower. And so the Emperor is a card that is very direct and controlled and always very forward thinking. They like to take charge when it comes to pretty much every area of life. And so what the Emperor card reminds me of, I was just listening to this podcast about dating, relationships. Sometimes I like to listen to them, even if I'm, not even dating myself. And one thing this dating coach says is you have to have a strategy when it comes to love. A lot of people go into dating and they don't have a set strategy. Well, the Emperor here as advice kind of falls onto the lines of that. Having a set strategy for your love life, or having set goals when it comes to your love life. How do you want things to look? How does that look down when you break it down to more realistic terms? Like you say, hey, I want a family and a big house. Well, how big do you want this family? What does that look like practically? How much should you both be making in terms to sustain that? Where do you want to live? Like, what exactly are the details of this big picture? Now, the Emperor is not going to get too detailed, but he's going to get detailed enough that he's able to direct the specifics of what exactly he has going on with his love life, right? He has a general idea and he seeks counseling, he seeks help. All emperors have people to assist them with these things, back in the day when they have people set up different brides and things for them. So it could also be saying that don't be afraid to maybe even use a dating coach. That could be a possibility for some of you, or work with others around you to get their insights on what they believe might be best for you in your love life. Not saying that you have to follow it, but it might be good to hear their perspective on things. And as I was mentioning for you singles, the advice here is to apply a strategy. Don't go into your love life just saying, like the Fool here, let's just see how it goes, let's just wing it, etc. No, have a specific plan as to how you would like to date. Would you like to date a few people at a time? What are you looking for when it comes to, the categories that you're looking for in a partnership and a relationship? Are you looking for someone adventurous? Are you looking for someone who's very honest? Are you looking for somebody who is stable and reliable? Given the card's advice, given the Emperor, it would say that it's better to look for someone who may be more structured, So even if you have this Fool energy coming up next, you don't have to stay in it. You can say, all right, I don't really want to deal with this person. I think I prefer someone who's going to be a bit more stable. And so having a strategy as to how you're going to approach things, are you going to use online dating apps? Are you going to go through friends, etc.? Is going to help you a lot when it comes to your dating life. Some people, one of their strategies is to, have a short coffee date, meet for 30 minutes and then leave. They do that to everyone. They treat them the same. And that is part of their strategy into getting to know people. Some people are like, hey, I would like to call before the date because I want to make sure that we have a good vibe. Like if you're meeting someone online, and that's their strategy, part of their strategy, I should say. We also have the Tower here. And the Tower is all about leaving things behind. I just got the Tower in a reading for an individual, and this was about having things be transformative. Okay, there were some revelations and insights, and so taking account for all the rest, the lessons that you've learned, taking those insights into your heart and actually sitting with them and applying them as you move forward in love is going to help you significantly. This is also a card of saying, don't be afraid to change. Don't be afraid to shake things up. Maybe this Fool card energy is coming in with you because the cards want you to remain just a little bit open. Not saying you got to let everyone in, but a little bit open to a change in dynamic in a way that you previously maybe haven't dated before. This card would also emphasize, having things revealed to you or revealing things to others. So being honest and upfront about what you're looking for and your intentions, that is definitely the combination of the Emperor and the Tower coming together. And both of these energies connect to the planet Mars. And also, I want to say, because they both connect to the planet of Mars, don't just sit around and wait. I know we're in the Seven of Pentacles phase where you're figuring things out and you're thinking things through, but don't stay in this period of pause. Mars is all about taking action and taking the initiative. And like I said, being in control of your love life. Having a plan, having a strategy, and being clear about your goals and where you want to spend your time and effort. Now, when it comes to what's happening next, we have the first house, and as this card says, the body. And so I'm going to lean into more so of the other aspects of the first house. Yes, maybe your body is changing in your love journey. That is quite possible. Sometimes people go on a weight loss journey and that causes their love life to change, or they might gain weight and that causes their love life to change, whatever the case may be. That could be happening next for you, because this is just general energy coming in, and that definitely can play a role when it comes to your love life. Also, there may be some changes in terms of like styling, if you wear makeup or start wearing makeup, haircut, presentation. You might make these different shifts in your presentation, and that may attract certain different individuals. But the interpretation that I really want to lean into when it comes to what's happening next is that you yourself are changing and transforming. There is a transformation taking place next for you when it comes to the area of love. And like I was going to say before, the first house is also a Mars ruled house because it connects to the sign of Aries. So a lot of Mars energy. And so what's happening next is you're actually going to start taking charge of your love life. You're going to start taking the initiative. You're going to start planning things. You're going to start making moves towards having the love life that you would like. You're going to be upfront about what your expectations are. You're going to be clear about, boundaries and sticking to them. You're going to change who you are and shed any sort of bad habits or even behaviors that weren't beneficial towards you in the past. And you're really going to get to know a lot more about yourself. This next stage in your love life is transforming who you are. This is all about having a strong sense of direction and recognizing the things that you truly desire and trying to make sure that you manifest them and make them happen. Whenever you get like first house transits or your first house is being highlighted in some way, this is generally an area or a time in your life where you start to have a clearer direction of where you would like to go. And so when it comes to your love life, you're going to have a very clear direction, almost like tunnel vision, because Mars can do that when it comes to your love life. Trying new things, taking the initiative, and starting something new, starting a new cycle and a new pattern as to how you approach love and relationships. That is what's going to be happening to you, number 5. All right, so that is what I have. And if this doesn't resonate, feel free to choose a new pal or a new reader. Either way, I'm very happy you stopped by. Don't forget, I go live on the weekends. That's Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Time will be posted in the community tab, Eastern Standard Time by Tuesday night. And, right now I'm experimenting with pop-ups. So I don't know what day I'm going to land on, but it's looking like Monday or Thursday. So I may pop up during the week. And if you want a private reading by me, all you have to do is check out the description bar below, fill out the form, and I will get to it. So that is all I have for you. And I hope to see you next time. Au revoir.